Okay, another absolutely beautiful morning here in sunny South Shields, and we are getting on with this cabinetry. As you see, I've got this placed in again, and I've placed this in so that I can get an accurate sort of measurement for the base of it, because that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the base, and I have a width measurement for that. So we're going to go into the workshop first off, and we have the base here on the table. I'm going to whip that off widthways, then we'll calculate to get around the wheel arch and get that fixed into the frame. Okay, so I've got my rail clamped on there, I've got my saw ready, and this is set to the width. So what we're going to do is just whip off that piece of the board, then we'll get it in the van and see what's going on with it. So here we go. Alright, so we've got the base in the van. A little bit cramped in here. I've still got the framework in here also. What we want to do is just negotiate this wheel arch and cut out an appropriate section of the base for it. So that's going to be there. The curvature is going to start here and it's going to run down to here. So I'll mark that line in also. I'm going to eyeball this for the actual curvature of the wheel arch. So I'll whip this back into the workshop, take that out with the jigsaw, and then we'll come and offer it up. Okay, so we've got that cut out. That's a nice snug fit around the wheel arch. It's flush on the side of here, and it's flush with a line on the floor here. That's good. Now I can secure that to the base of the cabinet. Okay, so to get the base on here, what we're going to do is get some glue along this bottom line. What I want to do is just place that in the groove that we made earlier, like so. And we want to remove that if we can. There it is. Now, I'm just going to line all this up and put a line of screws through the bottom here into the main rail of the frame. Then we can stand it up, square these up and get them screwed in. That's the plan. And what I want to do is just square these up, make sure that they're nice and square on the cabinets, and then screw them into this base. So we'll start with this one as being the nearest. That's going to be like that. Right, we're going to screw through there. Very good. Now, same with the rest of these. I'm going to get them nice and square and well secured. Okay, so being happy with all of that, I'm now going to flip it over again and just put a couple of more screws in from underneath. And that will be this part done. Now, as I said previously, these are going to have the ply infills, but they will also have one of these on the back for the ply to fit into. So I'll do the ply first, then I'll measure these, router them and get them fixed on. And to make these infills, what I'm going to do is take measurement from here to here, then add what the depth is on either side, and I'll cut a load of ply at that sort of height. So our overall height here from the bottom to the top is 715. So it's 715. Put a little piece of ply in there and mark it. Make sure that we're the same at the top, which we are. And now we'll take that measurement. I'm going to say that's about 6 mil. I'll make it 6, and then if we need to take a little shaving off, we can do that. So that's 2 6s, 12. Put the 12 on there. That's 7, 2. So it's 727. So I'm going to cut a load of ply at 727. And then we'll see what we've got. Okay, so I've cut a couple of pieces of this. We actually need 4 of these infills to begin with, and we want another piece for this end, but that's going to be different because it has to go right the way down to the floor. So now we want the width of them. Now, as I say, what we're going to have is a piece of 19 mil on here, and that's going to have a recess of 5. So if I put this in there, take it to there, that is 45. So I'm going to make them 45.5. Okay, so that's our first panel in. Now I've just sat that in there, I've not fixed it as yet. I just want to make sure we are nice and square at the top there, and we're nice and square at the bottom. We've got a little overhang here. Now I'm going to mark that because we do have the back batten to take into account. I'll make a little cut out there, and then I'll measure this down straight. And before committing to cutting the rest of them, I just want to test it in the van, make sure we're looking good here. And this is indeed looking good. That's fitting there nicely. That beam will go up there and fit in there very nicely. So I'm confident with that. I'm going to make another 3 same size as this, and then we'll look at 2 of them want the wheel arch detail taken out. Okay, so a whole load of chewing and nibbling later. We've got the cutouts for the wheel arches done here. The other ones are just straight, they are going in straight, that's okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue these in at this point. To do that, we just want to line the glue in the groove and a line up here. There. That will do it. Now we'll slide these in. And just place them in the groove at the bottom. That is looking good. Alrighty, and as ever, we just want to check the corners for square. These are square, very happy with that. I'm going to get the other 3 in, and then we'll look at putting the end panel on. The panel is a slightly different kettle of fish. We're going to take that from the very top, and it's standing on a 100mm plinth or foot. So what we've got here is 76. We're going to make that 86, and then we'll take the detail out for the kick plate itself. So one piece is 86, and all we want is this little piece out here for the toe plate. So I'm going to measure that, I'll cut it out, and then I'll leave this off for now until the glue has set on those other panels. Okay, so I haven't got this cabinet pretty much up to the painting stage. Going to leave it there for now, and the next thing we're going to fall back onto is the top cupboard for the sliding door side of the van, and we'll get that put together. Very similar construction to this. Obviously there's just a few angles involved to curvatures to get it around the wall nicely and stuff like that. Okay, so here we have the basic frame for these top cabinets, and what we want to do first of all is just determine how deep we want these to be. And let's have a look and see what we've got here. That's about 22 there, and that looks acceptable to me actually. Put that there and say from the front of this we've got 22. So I think we'll call it 22. Now the point here being I can make the bottom sections 22, then we can offer it up and see what the top ones are going to be. Very similar to how we did the bottom cabinet, and then we'll make the infills and stuff like that for them. Okay, and putting this together, very much the same as putting the bottom cabinets together. Difference being this one has a 5mm ply base, so I'm just going to sit that on the 5mm ply. Now I've already countersunk and drilled the holes in the front of here. So what I'm going to do is get this little piece of ply, just make sure we're properly aligned, then a couple of screws through the front, and that will do it. Done, and then we're back in the van with it to see if we can figure out what these top ones want to be. And the general consensus here seems to be, I think I'll make those 17. Yes, I'll make all of those 17. It's just this, if we make them any longer it's going to hit this batten here, which we don't want it to do. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 at 17 or 170mm. Okay, so we're a little bit more cabinetry. We've got this top cupboard finished for the sliding door side. This is the same sort of construction as the base unit really. just on a little angle to fit into the ceiling properly. So the next thing we have to do is the other side of the van, and what we have here is the tall cupboard front, which I made earlier. I'm just going to make a fridge housing right now because the fridge is going next to that, and this is all the same stuff. So I'm going to get on with that, and once I've got that done, we'll start looking at doing the top cupboard for the driver's side of the van. That would be just up there. Cabinet building continues. I've got this tall cabinet in the van here. This is looking good. That's going to fit nicely there. Fridge is going in there, and we'll get a drawer above that. This is same construction as that which I've been doing for the rest of them. I'm just putting it together with these battens and then screwing the 5mm ply onto the sides. Obviously we'll fill all of these, get all this smoothed down, and I've put this structure on here, if you can see, because that's going to have a ply back right the way down. So there's only one more to make, and that is the one which goes from here to here. We've got a measurement for that, and I'm going to get on with it. It's the same procedure. Once I've finished that top cabinet, it's time to do something quite different whilst the cabinet's dry and the paintwork dries and everything like that. And the thing we want to do is fill all of this in. There's lots of these things where they need really a piece of ply, cutting size and putting in there. We've got a lot of them to do on the doors here, and I think I'll do these as well. I'll just put a ply covering over all of these things at the top, and then we'll paint all of that the same colour as the walls, and this will all be looking good. So I'm going to finish off that cabinet, and then we'll get on to the next stage. Alright, so eventually all of the cabinets are made. Got this one up here, that's for the driver's side top cabinets. We've got this one made, we've got this one made, and we've got the main one over here. As I say, all of the construction for this is more or less the same. I'm doing it with this 44x18 plain square edge softwood, taking out the router channel and sliding these panels in, and the whole thing is very stable and strong. Now the next thing we need to do with this is fill up all of these little screw holes, any little gaps, anything like that, get it all filled up so that when we sand it down we've got a nice smooth finish to paint. Then we'll get on with painting it, and whilst all that's drying, as I say, what I'm going to do is get back in the van and do all of those little fiddly bits, little infills, closing in all of the seam metalwork and stuff like that. And what I'm using to do that is I've just sharpened up these scrapers before I start doing this, because they do get quite clogged up. And I've got some ready mixed filler here, and the idea is I'm just going to leave that a little bit proud so it'll sand down nice and flat. A little bit there. And we're coming to the end of the day here, so this allows this all night to set, so it's nice and solid, and will sand off nice and flat. With all the filling done, it's time for some sanding. I'm just going to use this palm sander. Got a fairly coarse grit paper on it, I think it's a 60 grit, and that will just knock all this stuff off fairly rapidly. But we've got this one, got all of these filled, and we have the other one over there all ready to go. So it's a whole load of sanding, and then we'll get a coat of paint on here, some undercoat. But first things first. Okay, sanding is done. We've got all this smoothed off nicely. All these little holes are filled up, and that's going to be good for a coat of undercoat, which is the next thing which is happening here. Got this tall cabinet done, that's all looking good. Right, now I think what I'll do first of all is tidy this workshop up a little. It is getting a little bit cluttered on top of itself, loads of sawdust all over the place, all the tools out. I'll make a little bit of room and just tidy it up so that I can get on with the painting, and then stack this stuff somewhere whilst we get on with the other stuff in the van. I've just taken it up off the bench here so we don't pick up loads of sawdust and get it all over the roller, and I've done the same with these, and I've got these just about ready to go. So I'm going to start with this one on the bench here. We're going to do the whole lot of these, just give them a good undercoat. This will probably highlight any other discrepancies. May have to go over it with the filler again, but that's okay. We will end up with a nice smooth finish. Okay, this is an oil-based undercoat. I thought it was water-based when I bought it, but it turns out to be oil-based, but that's okay. So this is the job. Just get all of this painted up, and straight away you can see little discrepancies, you know, that would need another filling, just some of the splits in the knots and things like that. So what I'll do is I'll let all of this dry, give it a second filling, and then we'll get some of the top coat on. Okay, now I think I'll start with the trickiest one of these first, and that is this one here. What I want is a piece of wood which will fit this curvature this way, and will also come down to about here, so that I can get these out of the same piece of wood. I'm going to use 5mm ply for this, and the first thing we want to do is get a piece full length, so I'll measure that and cut that off, and then I'll measure how deep I want it, and then we'll start trying to secure it into position so that we can then get a scribe line on it and cut that off nice and sharp. I want a nice sharp finish against there. You see, if you're carpeting over this stuff, you can get away with a few things, you know, but it seems that this is just going to be painted on there. It needs to be as good as we can get it. So I can get tape measure, and I'm going to measure this lot up. And if we look at this, take a look at this. You can buy these ready-made, you know, infills for this, but I think they were about 80 quid a piece, and I thought surely I can make one with a bit of plywood. It cost me about £5 maybe. But this here, you see, is angled this way. It's coming up like that, and that's going to be a little bit tricky. But let's say that I want the wood to come down to about here. What I'll do is I'll take that measurement, because that will be the widest measurement, from there right over to the other side. Here we go. Right, we've got 175 there. So I'll write that down. 1750 millimeters. But we want to drop from the highest point. So I'm just going to have to eyeball that. What's it in line with? I want it to come down to about there. So it's about the lower part of this headrest. This is just approximate because this is just approximate because we are going to sort of nibble this into shape. So if I say there, that looks about 25. I'll make that 250. Right, so the plan is I'll cut a piece of wood, this and this, then we'll monkey about with it and see if we can get it to fit in there. Okay, so what I've got is, I've got it in, fitted that way. I've taken these headrests off, they were obscuring it a little bit, but the front seat one, I've clamped it to the headrest there, and I've just put a little bit of tape on here to hold it square, and I've measured down from here each side so that we're running parallel with this top piece. Now the next thing we're going to do is a scribe on that, so I want to set the scribe, let's have a look, from there with the pencil line at the highest point, sort of thing. I'm saying that's it about there. Now, the idea is I should just be able to scribe that. We've got a little dint here in the thing, a little bit of twisted metal that will obscure things a little. In fact, I think I'll get a pair of pliers and flatten that. That's better. It was just a little join here in the metal, which was a little bit bent over, but that's okay now. Right, so I've got a scribe. This is, I think I got that off eBay, 6 quid or something. It's been very handy. Good for most types of scribing. And we've got our pencil line on there, and we just want to keep this straight up and down and draw a line on this piece of wood. And that's as far as we can get because of these things on the corner, but that's not the worry. The corner ones I'll just, these end pieces I'll just do by eye. It's on the same sort of trajectory, if you know what I mean. It's like a moving average. And I'll just take that down, and these will hide it if I'm not precise there. So you can see that line there, that's just where the two pieces of metal are joined, and that's okay, but what I want to do is just get an idea of where this is going and continue it down. There you go. That looks reasonable to me. Okay, let me show you the story so far. Get that in there. We'll get that in there. The length is good. We've got this little gap here, and what that means is this piece that I hand sort of sketched in needs just a little bit more off. Now what I'm going to do is take it off from about there. I'll measure and do exactly the same on the other side, because the other side does look exactly the same really. So I'm going to take a little bit more off there, just a little bit at a time, until we get rid of this gap here and the thing sits flushly against the metal. That's what we're after. Okay, with a bit of nibbling and a few goes, we've got that there, which is, I'm saying, a decent fit. That's a nice line across the top. There's no waves or bumps on it. That's all good. So the next thing we want to do is scribe it from the back and cut that line as well. Now, how do we do that? I'm going to have to hold this in place, I think. It's going to be difficult to clamp. So we'll hold that up and we'll get a pencil and we'll just draw a line along the back. Okay, whole load of nibbling later. Fairly complex shape to make this, but I do believe we have it. Get that under there. When these are pressed in here, let's put that into shape. That's a nice fit round there. It's a nice fit on this line, and it's a nice fit on this top line. So I'm saying I'm happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some wallpaper, and I'm going to make a template of this, just in case I do another Boxer. Then I'll have this ready to go, and it'll take me 5 minutes instead of what, maybe an hour I've spent on this. Now just one more thing, I've had a thought regarding this. I could have taken that shape from the bulkhead. When I took the bulkhead out of here, obviously the bulkhead fits in there perfectly, and I could have used that for a template. Didn't think of it at the time, but if you've got a Boxer, if you're going to do this with a Boxer, use the bulkhead. You'll get a nice line on there, and it'll save all the nibbling and monkeying about with it. But anyhow, we now have it. It is done. It's all good. So what we want is the side pieces now. We want pieces to go down the side here. I'll show you what I mean. Right, they're going from here right the way down that side. So I'm going to take a measurement from the floor, and then we want to cut it to the widest point, which is here, and then we'll do the same thing again, scribe it from the back and cut it off. And we'll want one of those for either side. This piece, I've also made a template for this, but that's going to fit in there quite snugly when that gets to the right height, wherever that is. It's about there, I think, and that will fit in there. Drill a little hole in it, put the light switch in. That's going to be just fine. Right, now as I say, there's quite a bit of these infills to do in here, and I think the next one that I'll tackle is these windows. These want obviously pieces going up here and down there, and this bottom piece I'm going to cut out of some what do they call this stuff? Beechwood worktop that I have. So I'll take a measurement here and I'll cut some beechwood off. Okay, so I have a piece here at 80, and as I say, that will sit on there like that. Second thoughts on the width of it, and I'll tell you why. This is the only piece I have right now, and this is 22.5 centimeters in width. So this is going to have to be 11.25, wouldn't it? 11.25 is there. We've still got a decent overhang on that, so I think I will be happy with that, and I would rather get them both out of this one piece. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just split this right down the middle on the bandsaw, then we'll see about getting it cut into this corner here. Alright, so I've cut this down, and I have a centre mark on here and a centre mark on here. I'm just going to line those two up. Right, we've got a mark on that side, and I've got a mark on that side. Now I just want to know how far to cut that in. Take that down there and off there. Okay, moving right along. I've done the side window things, and I'll show you them later, because what I'm going to do is paint them first, and then we'll get them put in once they've dried. So the next sort of infill that we've got to do is this one here, which again is a fairly extraordinary shape. Now, let's have a look. It comes out here a little bit. There's obviously a curvature on it, and there's a limit to how far it'll go this way. So I think what I'm going to do is take the full length measurement first. I'll get the curvature on it, and I may just cut round there with it, and then we'll attach it to the back here. That's what I'm thinking is going to be the best bet. And then we'll want a couple here, one here and one here. Now this is really just to cover up all of these things, because as I say, there's no carpet going on here and we don't want these to be exposed. So first thing to do is get measurement from there to the far side, see what that is, cut a piece of wood off. Right, so I've got this in place and I've just got it clamped on for now, and what I'm going to do is again scribe that all the way down. Okay, so that's a pretty good fit, happy with that. Now what I'm going to do here is, it is still a little bit low in places, so what I'm going to do is mark it, which will be about there, and I'm just going to take that straight cut right off there, and I think this piece will be all right. Okay, so I've whipped that off, and that will fit in there very nicely. Yes, happy with that. Just by the way, when I get this on, it will be painted, and what I'm going to do is paint any of the still exposed yellow metal in this van first, so that the whole thing looks nice and uniform. So yeah, we're happy with that. I'm going to do the same thing for these underneath pieces here, and I'm just going to get on with them. It's exactly the same procedure, and we have another one to do here, and there's a couple of little bits and pieces around the van to also sort out. So I'm going to get on with those and sort them out, and then we'll come back and we'll see what's next. Okay, now here we have all of the various panels, etc., that I've cut to do all of the infills. We've got these for the doors. This will go on the top of the sliding door. These are for the top of the back doors. We've got this piece for around the back doors, and we've got these pieces to fill around the wheel arches in the part which will be exposed towards the back of the van. So what I'm going to do with all of these is give them a coat of paint. Okay, so I've got my roller, got some paint in my tray, and the idea is just to get a good thick coat of undercoat on all of these panels. And since I'm going to be out of action in the workshop here until these dry, that is indeed it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. The van is coming along very well, I think, and you'll be surprised at how quickly this comes along once we've got all of these little fiddly bits and pieces done. The next thing that we're going to do is make the doors and the drawer fronts and things like that, and at that point we'll be ready to start fitting the furniture and making the slide out bed. So we'll get on to that next time, but for now I'm just going to paint all of these. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, that always helps the channel a lot. And if you would like to see how this whole van build comes together, do consider subscribing to the channel. In the meantime, I thank you very much for watching.